It's Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. And this is Uranium Spotlight, your weekly podcast dedicated to delivering the latest news and events shaping the uranium fuel market and its critical role in the global energy landscape. Brought to you by PurePoint Uranium Group, trading on the TSX Venture and the OTCQB. PurePoint actively operates a portfolio of advanced uranium projects in the world's richest uranium district and has established partnerships with some of the largest uranium suppliers worldwide. While our passion for this subject is undeniable, it's essential to clarify that the information presented here is not investment advice. Instead, our goal is to offer an unbiased and comprehensive review of recent events that could impact uranium prices. And now your host, Chris Frostad.
In this week's Uranium Spotlight, we look at the U.S. and China's race to build new reactors, stories out of Japan and India, new milestones for two uranium development companies, and some good news on the uranium price front. Last week saw the spot price cross a significant milestone, ending the week at $60.75, a jump of $2.25 per pound U.S. U3O8. The spot price has seen $60 only twice in the last 12 years. Shortly after Japan's tsunami in 2011, the spot price passed $60, but it was on its way down, eventually dropping to below $25. The price did not see $60 again until last April of 2022, but it was short-lived, almost immediately dropping back to $45.50 over the following month. The difference this time is that last year's jump was a market reaction to Cameco calling a new uranium contracting cycle. The spot price rose $20 over a two-month period, and then fell off again, giving back all of those gains. This time, the spot has taken a more leisurely route, calmly inching up over the last 16 months to now pass the $60 threshold. Rather than reacting to a single event, the spot now seems to be moving based on pure demand fundamentals, a trend we hope to see continue. Other good news saw the long-term price of uranium jump $2 last week to close the month at $58 per pound U.S. U3O8. This beats the term's last reported high of $57 back in June of 2013. Both of these price moves represent a steady foundational path to incentive levels. Good news for those waiting to turn uranium mines back on again. China's advantage in building nuclear reactors at a faster and cheaper rate gives it a substantial edge in addressing climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. As the world seeks cleaner energy sources, the United States risks falling behind in its commitment to clean up the power grid. China's ability to construct multiple reactors annually has positioned it to potentially surpass the U.S. as the largest atomic energy producer in the world by the middle of this decade. This leadership in clean energy not only enhances China's environmental credentials, but also its diplomatic influence, as it can offer its clean energy expertise to other nations. The stark contrast in costs between the U.S. and China underscores the urgency for the United States to accelerate its reactor construction efforts. The United States spent more than double its initial budget to build just two new reactors, while China approved 6 new reactors for a significantly lower combined cost. This cost disparity not only affects the domestic economy, but also jeopardizes the U.S.'s ability to compete internationally. If the U.S. wants to regain its dominance in the global nuclear market, it must invest in innovative technologies, such as small modular reactors and advanced reactor designs, to reduce costs and enhance competitiveness. Just this week, China announced that it will commit pre-construction studies for the site of the Zhuhai-1 nuclear reactor. Zhuhai-1 will be a CAP-1000 nuclear reactor, which is the Chinese version of Westinghouse's AP-1000 reactor. Zhuhai NPP is planned to have 4 units, with Unit 1 construction beginning this year, Unit 2 construction beginning next year, and Units 3 and 4 already under construction. Units 3 and 4 will both be Russian VVER 1200 models. Also underway this week is Taipei 2, which just installed its reactor pressure vessel. The reactor pressure vessel is a main component of the reactor and is what powers the turbines that produce the electricity China and the world so desperately need. China is currently building 2 units at Taipei 2, and they have a 70% completion rate so far. With these recent steps, China is racing ahead of the U.S. in the fight to decarbonize its grid. The U.S. has the opportunity to revitalize its nuclear industry and regain its position as a major nuclear energy exporter. While China is aggressively seeking to export its nuclear reactor designs to other countries, The United States can leverage its cutting-edge nuclear technology to compete in the global market. To do so successfully, the U.S. must prioritize demonstrating the feasibility and cost-effectiveness of its advanced reactor designs at home, positioning itself as a reliable and proven provider of clean energy solutions to the world. The Japanese Nuclear Regulatory Authority, or NRA, is investigating Units 6 and 7 at Kashiwaki Karawa in Nagata Prefecture, Japan, owned by Japanese utility TEPCO, to see if they are eligible to restart. The main holdup is the current lapses in security procedures, but should those be resolved, the reactor should be ready to restart after a consultation with local public. The Japan Atomic Power Corporation, or JAPC, has also submitted its application to the NRA to see about restarting its Chizura 2 nuclear reactor. The review was initially suspended in April due to errors in the paperwork. The review focuses on possible seismic activity from a fault line near the reactor. The Japanese Atomic Power Corporation is trying to prove that it is not an active fault, but so far has not provided adequate documentation to the NRA. India is poised to continue building new reactors to enhance power generation, combat climate change, and stimulate economic growth. Prime Minister Modi announced the full capacity operation of the country's first indigenously developed 700-megawatt nuclear power plant, highlighting India's commitment to nuclear energy expansion. By increasing its nuclear power capacity, India aims to address its growing energy demands while reducing carbon emissions, contributing to the fight against climate change. These nuclear projects stimulate economic growth by creating jobs, fostering research and development, and attracting investments. India's plans to build 16 additional 700-megawatt pressurized heavy water reactors across the country demonstrate its commitment to nuclear energy as a driver of progress. Last week, 2 uranium development companies achieved significant milestones in their projects. Goviex Uranium Inc. made a significant advancement with the filing of a technical report for their Matunga uranium project in Zambia. The technical report highlighted substantial progress, reporting that measured and indicated resources nearly tripled, rising from 29% to 74% of the total resources. In-pit constrained resources also increased by 18%, and mineral categories saw great improvements. This success was attributed to the intensive drilling campaigns, with a primary focus on the Dibwe East deposit. Daniel Major, Goviex's CEO, expressed confidence in the project's potential even in a lower uranium price environment, and noted the possibility of further resource upgrades for the feasibility study. This update underscores Goviex's commitment to maximizing its resource base. Meanwhile, Uranium Energy Corp., or UEC, announced the acquisition of Canadian uranium exploration projects in Saskatchewan's Athabasca Basin from Rio Tinto Exploration Canada, Inc. The transaction included a 60% equity stake in the Henday Lake joint venture, 100% ownership of the Milliken project, and a 50% equity stake in the Carswell joint venture project. This acquisition added 44,444 acres of prospective ground to UEC's existing portfolio, which now totals over 1 million acres in the Athabasca Basin. UEC's president and CEO, Admir Adnani, highlighted this acquisition as part of their strategy to build a premier North American uranium portfolio, including near-term production in the U.S., Canadian development stage projects, and a pipeline of exploration opportunities. The company has been active in expanding its presence in the Athabasca Basin with a focus on high-quality exploration assets. These developments underscore the growing importance of uranium mining companies in securing valuable resources for the future of nuclear energy production. And that wraps up your Uranium Spotlight coverage for this week. For more news and events from the world of uranium, please tune in next week to Uranium Spotlight.
You've been listening to Uranium Spotlight, your weekly podcast dedicated to delivering the latest news and events shaping the uranium fuel market and its critical role in the global energy landscape. Brought to you by PurePoint Uranium Group, advancing its position as the premier uranium explorer in the world's richest uranium district. Join us again next week for Uranium Spotlight.